This is Rowena Dooley asking Sol citizens to report for duty. Dooley asking Sol citizens to report for duty.
Let's see, test 1, 2. There. Okay. Testing 1, 2. We got audio, right? Hey, welcome everybody to Soul Voices. I am GriffinGamingRPG. Thank you guys for being here on a Saturday. Thank you for letting me know I was muted. I hope you guys are doing okay. Today is October the 12th. Hope you guys are doing well wherever you are. For all of our good friends who are in areas that have been affected recently by both Hurricane Helene and also the most one, Milton. Our thoughts are with you guys. Hope you are doing well. We have some friends like our good friend Colossal and Melvillus, folks who are down in the Florida area, even our good friend Captain Richard, a lot of folks down there who obviously were impacted in some way by the storms there. So just let you know that we're thinking about you guys and hope that you're doing well. Thanks to everybody who's been supporting us over the past few weeks as we've been approaching this period of time with a lot of anticipation, a lot of skepticism, a lot going on as we're a week away now from CitizenCon 2954. And so today's show is called Change is Gonna Come, and we're going to talk about that a little bit later on. In fact, this show is going to be about change and just some more of a retrospective of where we've been, where we are, and where we're going. Each week when Jared Huckabee closes out, or he reminds us from time to time on ISC, that change is a part of the development process. And even if we took this outside of the context of gaming, change is often something that is very difficult. It's something that we might often even look forward to, or something that we feel is needed, but it doesn't always mean that it's the easiest thing to do. In fact, we usually push back against change because we get used to things being a certain kind of way. And even when it's not the best that it could be, we still embrace it. Sometimes it's not even to our best, our best in the end. And for some reason, there's something about us that dealing with change is a difficult thing. And change doesn't always have to be good, mind you. There could be changes that are bad, and we can keep that in context too. All changes aren't necessarily good, but change in and of itself is just something that's kind of, I don't know, something that we wrestle with. So we're going to be talking about a little bit of that as part of our theme today. So we're going to start out with our very first post. Oh, by the way, Soul Voices. This is the show where you have an opportunity to come in and talk to me and the community about your feelings about the topics that I pick from Spectrum or Reddit or from CIG. And so please take advantage of the link when it comes up if there's something that you would like to share about how you're feeling. That this was an opportunity for you to be able to come in and share it. It doesn't have to be always on the positive side. We take the negative sides too. So don't feel, nervous about coming in and feeling like, you're going to get shot down. This is supposed to be an opportunity for you to be able to express how you feel. And there may be some debate. That's fine. Healthy debate is fine. Okay. But don't worry. We're not going to bite. Okay. So let's go ahead and get ready to jump into our very first of the topics that we have today. This one was written by Mac Mackington. I saw this on Spectrum the other day. I think it was put out earlier this week or maybe even last weekend. It's a long post. Please bear with me here. There was a lot of type in this. And so the first page here is going to be like kind of small. You should be able to read it, but I'm going to read it for you just in case you can't. But the title of this very first one is called Annus Horribilus by Mac Mackington. The more I look at 2024, the more I see what a terrible year it has been. It's I don't know. It's always interesting. I don't know if the assessments of where Star Citizen is, I don't know. It's like each year is always the worst year ever. Maybe that's the best way I'm trying to say it. Each year is always the worst, or each year always isn't going to do, and I don't, and maybe that's true. I don't know. Maybe it's a matter of perspective. But this person says it was a terrible year. And so maybe from their perspective, it was. We're going to look at some of the things that they list here. And these, it's interesting. I thought this was humorous because he used the term gate, like Watergate, like Pizzagate. So he goes down this list of items here. One of them is called Skybox Gate. Where are our stars? I guess they're coming back. Now, mind you, I want you to remember my prediction back in the day when the whole green space thing came up. I said, not just me, other people said, it's going to change. Change is going to come, right? That's our theme. So, again, folks set their hair on fire only to see that things got pulled back to a place that I think most people are more comfortable with. MM Gate, right? The MM Gate, console-oriented control schemes, master modes for a PC game. HUD Gate, blasting our eyes, confusing HUD symbiology, lacking information. Fuel Gate, gone are the days of cruising business-only citizen. That's all you got to do is business now. Just can't cruise around. Nerf Gate. Where did our cool ships go? They look like they're still there, but now they're mediocre if we're lucky. Pyrogate. Tomorrow, the system will be there tomorrow. It's only 2 years away. Meshgate. Finally, a way for 500 people to suffer on the same server. Speedgate. As the late, great George Carlin would put it, slowness enhancements. Boostgate. You have to use it, but you can't use it because you'll overheat without knowing it. Gate. We create a deficiency to sell a solution. A solution are us. Triggergate. Things are going so well, we decided to remove options. Multi-crew gate. Why crew a ship that can be destroyed by fighters they can't even target? Interesting. Gate. Part of Pyrogate, but big enough to get its own line by popular demand. See, I listen to my consumers. And finally, Sniper Glint Gate. You all, so if you know, you know. Okay. I'm not going into detail for each of these because other better authors already have, but this is not cool. Star Citizen is definitely on the muddled middle of its journey. I get the feeling this is all data, statistics, and profit driven, and there is zero observational science or practical experience behind any of this. That the desperate parts of CIG are acting without coordination or cooperation, like a symphony without direction. That the devs themselves have spent hour zero behind the joysticks of the ships, that the code has grown weedy and unintended and unable to be managed, that a lot of these changes are arbitrary and deeply intertwined into Squadron 42 and not easily modified. That the most powerful and capable part of CIG is the marketing department. I find myself watching old videos I recorded from 3.0 to 3.8 when everything was new, everything was broken, but everything was possible. I was inspired to pledge and happy to support the founding of a game studio and the development of a game setting of a unique vision that included amazing visual, audio, and gameplay experiences like no other for the PC. Now I'm like, this thing has so much momentum toward a destination that I can't discern that I'm bothered, worried. Wishing CIG the best because I want Star Citizen to be as awesome as Chris promised. But I'm shaking my head. Man. Okay. So a lot of feelings here, right? A lot of interesting things here. And there may be some things here that you will agree with and say, yeah, absolutely. And there may be some things you'd be like, it's not that bad. There may be some things you may be saying, what's this guy talking about, right? But Annus Horribilus, the year of it being just terrible. Annus Horribilus. So yeah, come on in. Give me some thoughts, what you guys think. Do you think this person's on the mark? Do you think that they're somewhat on the mark? You think they're off a little bit? What do you think about this year of things are just terrible? And I'll put the things up that they listed again just so you guys can have them in your eyesights there. I think we got Togi here first. Let's bring the man, Mr. T, in. Togi, how the heck are you, buddy?
I'm doing
good.
I'm feeling very heard right now.
He's speaking,
I want to give this guy your talk. Amen, brother.
He's speaking your talk, your language. Okay. All righty. What you got?
I do every single one of them.
Okay.
Again, like the fuel gate thing, it was a bug. There's some things here that were just bugs, right? Mm-hmm. But we exist in a game that is supposed to have the benefit of player input, and yet there is shocking amount of things here that are the exact opposite of what players are asking for.
Okay.
Right? Like, I really don't feel like CIG is listening to players anymore. Right? The main concern with Master Mode since the beginning has been it's too slow. It's boring. So what do? They turn around and lower the speeds more. You know, the sniper glint. Yeah, sure. Snipers are a bit oppressive in a game like this. But that's kind of ham-fisted. Instead of actually trying to add more skill into the game or just sniper glint. Just whatever the simplest, easiest, most half-butted solution is what we get in a game that promised not to be that.
Okay.
And it's infuriating. And I've always, been like, when is stuff coming? When is stuff coming? But I've never been concerned about the game being good when we get there. And now I am.
Okay. That's fair. Right. Those are fair concerns. I think that, as you mentioned, some of the items that are listed here, some of them we're already see some change coming with them. Some of them, only a couple of them were actually bugs and stuff. But a lot of these other things have been voiced by the community. People have expressed concerns about the direction of where the game is going. It's a concern for people. Again, I'm not. I don't say to even say it. I don't want to go through the whole thing. We're in development thing because you already know that. It's just a weird space. Go ahead.
I mean, it's just. If there was more communication about it, this would be fine. But I mean, even taking a look at what happened with the Corsair, if it needs to get nerfed, it needs to get nerfed. Right? But the philosophy behind the nerf, the lack of communication about the nerf, the implementation of the nerf are all bad. And when you just sit there, you break something, you put it in front of somebody, and you don't even want to discuss it past, we know it's, I don't remember how Yogi put it. We know it's odd, I think was his quote. Yeah. And that's as much as they've talked about it.
There was something you mentioned a few weeks ago. It was when Benoit gave the feedback report to the server testing.
Yeah.
If And this has been an issue, I mean, for a while. I know content creators asked for it years ago, but I think that even some players have asked about it. And it was this thing about CIG, because when people say communication, it's a broad statement, right? So I think we have to be really specific about what we're asking them to communicate about. And I know that it's been asked, and you said this, that when Benoit made that effort to say, this is not only what happened, but where we're going, that you felt that was more of an honest sign of transparency. And so do you think that if CIG, there's always been this ask for somebody who communicates to the community about exactly the things you're talking about. And I'm not talking about the dev necessarily, because if the devs had to come and respond to every time they make a change, they could never get work done, right? But that there be some conduit so that when stuff happens and when they see like Spectrum blow up, right, that there's somebody who comes in and has that conversation, you know what I mean? And not just the blanket, well, this is where things are, but somebody who actually comes in and addresses the concerns of the community, right? And I don't know. I mean, that's been asked for. I can't even think how far back that goes. I can go back to before hover mode and a whole lot of other things where they were talking about people. They feel that there are people in the community who can handle that conversation. I don't know. Maybe I'm not saying it should be a community manager. Go ahead.
No, I mean, Disco. I mean, like, why not get off of Salty Mike's stream? Email some devs, get a response to this stuff,
and pull something together that way.
Give us some answers, or at the very least, at the bare minimum, right? That nerf to the Corsair should have been in the patch notes, and as far as I can tell, it's not been. They did everything they could to hide it, and people had to get into their ships, right? Report it as a bug. Because it was that stupid, and then be told, oh, now that's not a bug, it's working as intended.
Okay. I think that's fair, especially to people who are consumers who have purchased something. But again, I don't know what they can do. I wish they would do something like that, where communication was much more direct, especially, and you know, there's this question, like even in this person's letter, about is CIG deaf? Are they on deaf ears when it comes to hearing the community, or discerning? Maybe that's a better word, because the community talks all over the place. But to discern when there's something really important to the community and they respond to it in an appropriate way, you know. I don't know. There's mixed feelings about it, right? There's mixed feelings. Some people feel like they do. Some people feel like they don't. Some people feel like they don't when it hits them. Some people feel like it do when it hits them. So I don't know. But okay, I got some other folks. I mean, go ahead. Finish it. I'll get your last thing.
Just nerfs can be justified, right? It's not a nerf. It's not about the nerf. It's about the philosophy and the process.
And the way it's done. Okay, fair enough.
Let's get better at that, CIG.
Okay. All right, T. Thank you, brother. All right, let me bring in, I think Pops in Space was next. Let me bring in Pops. Hey, Pops.
Hey.
How are you?
All right, I'm fine. And you?
Good.
Good. I'm just going to touch on a couple of things. Skybox Gate. Now, I thought the skyboxes were done to make each system unique when you jump to it. It gives it its own flavor, which I do understand why they did that for that particular purpose. If that, you know, if that's what they were going for and they wanted to see it, you know, Stanton is an old system and it needs adjusting in itself, just like PL needed to go because it was on a legacy thing, which was connected to the missions and all of that. So, you know, it's going to be adjustments that need to be fixed. So, you know, that much. You know, I can understand people being a little bit upset about it, but you know, to the point that it's a gate.
Well, you know, I think what happened with Skybox Gate, and you know, originally, and this isn't the first time, and this is why the tough thing about change can be difficult, because sometimes when people see change happen, there's the assumption that this is the direction, this is what it's going to be in the end. Right. So when they first put the new Skybox in, it was a much brighter green than what we saw when we went into 324 point, you know, the new patches coming out. So they put it in. They said, we want to do this to help distinguish ships that are, when you're in some type of combat, so they're not lost in the black, basically, right? But then they pulled it back. And they brought it back to a place that gives just enough of the hint of the green, but not to the point where people feel like they've got this green haze that's over their thing. So again, that's why I'm kind of theming this show about change, is that change, it keeps happening. And for years, literally years, we've been used to the skybox looking a certain way. Right. Yeah. So some of that. Now, if you go back and remember when we looked at Pyro for the first time, Pyro has that bit of a red haze to it. And people thought that was cool. Right. Nobody barked about Pyro having a little bit of a red haze to it. So understandably, when they brought it in this time, it might have been a little bit on the high side of the coloring, but they pulled it back. And when people saw it, they took they breathed a little bit and said, okay, hey, it's not so bad. And it's not the first time that's happened in development with the game, where something happens, CIG either hears it or it's just a placeholder for something else that's going to come later, right? But anyway, no, you're right. Change, there will be things that will happen. And again, that's what, as we get through later in the show, we're going to talk about even some more changes that are going to be coming in the future.
We touched on it when we first saw it, and we both said that they're going to draw it back, and they did. Yep. Now the Corsair, I'd be if I owned a Corsair and they, wow, did that, I'd be salty. I would be salty because I bought a ship and it was represented as something. I know CIG says subject to change. But I'd still be salty, but I do understand its identity is supposed to be that it's an exploration ship, but it was a gun ship. The way that it was. So I kind of understand that.
Yeah, it's interesting with that, because there was another thing that someone pointed out about the Corsairs nerfing and changes. It was also the fact that it happened a very long time after the release. We're usually used to a nerf happening, within months or a year of its release. This one was like a couple, 2 years, almost 2.5 years, I think, something like that. It was a good amount of time since the course has been out. So there's a part of us that has gotten used to the ship being a certain kind of way, or the fact that even subconsciously we got past that year point, you know what I mean? That 1.5 point. So now you start to feel like this is the way the ship is going to be. So obviously now all of a sudden when they do this change, it kind of makes you go like, whoa, what, the ship's been out here. Yeah. Now the Corsair nerfing, I said this last week on the show, makes me aware of, I better not be so comfortable about some ships I've got that have been sitting around for 4 or 5 years. I still think as much, and one of my favorite ships is the 600i. I think there's going to be a nerf. I think there's going to be a nerf that's going to come to it, and that ship's been around longer. I'm expecting as balancing comes in, and especially since they've moved to ship classes, how classes are done, ships within the same class. I could be wrong about this, y'all. I have no insight. I'm just saying I could see this as being a possible way they would go, where ships within a class will be within a certain range of each other. So medium-sized ships they'll be within a range of each other, and one may have, where this one has speed, maybe this one has maneuverability. Where this one has maneuverability, maybe this one has firepower. Where this one has firepower, maybe this has defensive capability. There will be some type of balancing. They'll have their own little distinguishings, but not distinguishings that are so great that puts one as a meta within that class. Now, I could be wrong about that, but which means that, again, every ship in the game at some point is going to have to be brought into some type of thing. But, again, and to Togi's point, Togi said it's not about the fact that the nerf's not the issue. It was the way it was done that makes people feel a certain kind of way. Okay?
Lack of communication.
All right, Pops. Thank you, brother.
Okay.
All righty. Let's bring in Admiral Kusanagi. Admiral, how are you?
Hey, guys.
How's it going?
How's it going, sir?
Good.
Turn off the Twitch audio here.
Okay.
How many ships are used now the way they're intended to be used? Seriously, like who tours in their 600i? Who explores in their Carrack? People are using them for what? Exactly. Like everything under the sun. And they try to throw every other vehicle they can that's not even like contemplated by, like, oh, how many little mini fighters can I put in the carrack in the top bay, where you would never see that for once the kit's going. Really, you wouldn't see it because you need to use it as a supply ship, or a rest you might put a medical ship up there.
Right.
Now we got this ship can't fit my empty tumbrel because the cargo ramp isn't wide enough. The rock doesn't fit into it, etc. The ship you gave us is not high enough for my new Argo loader. The ship sucks. You got to change it. I don't want to. Why am I paying you money? I want everything under the sun. People want one ship to do everything. And it's just not going to do that. Then we talk about the Corsair changes, the Redeemer changes. The game is in alpha. We're not even in beta yet. People need to get over it. And Squadron 42 is coming out to whet all the backers' appetites for the foreseeable future, and to get more people interested in the game, and more backers, and more money and funding. And we can complain about all the money that people are spending on ships after that. But
yeah,
that's the way I look at it. Their focus right now is for Squadron 42 and to keep the PU people who are just looking for the PU satisfied for Squadron 40 for the PU for CitizenCon, I think.
Yeah. So let me ask the question then. Do you think that maybe the reason why people feel that way, like I'm a role player, right? Like you always hear me say how I joke around and talk about how it's blasphemous to put a tank on the top of an 890, right? And fly it around like it's a battle cruiser. There is a part that the reason why people are taking ships and doing other things with them is because the things that the ships are supposed to do isn't in the game yet, right?
Right, it's not there.
So you may buy a I don't know, like let's use the Carrack for example. You just mentioned the Carrack. You may end up using the Carrack as a cargo ship because the cartography doesn't work, the drones don't work, the repair room doesn't work, there's no scanning. So what does it become? It becomes a cargo ship. And so those ships start to become, because of the way the game is structured, they start to become something that maybe they're not intended. Now, it doesn't mean that you can't do those things, but I think that the players are doing them. They want their tumbrel to fit in this ship because the tumbrel works, because the cargo works. And so I don't have my Liberator. I don't have my whatever. I don't even own a C2, but I do have a this. So I want it to be able to fit. So I think that becomes why, if all the options were there the way that, in the end, and ships did what they were supposed to do, we might see players gravitating more toward this ship I'll use this ship for just this, or, the special, I don't want to say specialty, but what the ship is designed for, to your point, what the ship is designed for. So that makes a weird space for them in development, because if the only ship I have is a Carrack and I paid X number of dollars for it and I don't own a C2 and I want to be able to move my such and such and I can't, I get frustrated. The reason why people go through the whole, let's see if it fits, how many things we can fit in, is because they ain't got nothing else to do.
Oh yeah, there's no missions like CIG can say there's missions in the game, blah blah blah. How many people go to do bunker missions every goddamn day?
Right.
It is the most boring whack-a-mole shit I've ever seen. Which is why I haven't played the game in like 3 months. And it's just like what you said. Like, almost over said this. The Carrack is a spawn location, and that's all it is right now. Is a spawn location, so people can set it down. It's got a little bit of shields, a little bit of weaponry, whatever. But that's all it is. It's a medical place. I can heal myself and spawn out and just jump back into a bunker or whatever. It has nothing else in that ship is what people bought it for.
Right.
And it's just wild. And I'm at a loss of how people can be so crazy upset about a game that has so many other issues in terms of gameplay.
Yeah.
The battles doesn't work on a Corsair.
But see, that's the deal. And you're right though. The hills that we die on, and it's the crazy part, right? I think Togi said this before. Sometimes people will bark about this when there are much bigger things that would bring greater value to where the game is now. But part of the problem is when CIG does development, there are things that we think they should be working on for, okay, for those of you who don't know anything about making movies, if you don't know anything about making movies, you would probably think that when they start shooting a film, they start out with Act 1, Scene 1. They don't. They might start with Act 2, Scene 78. And then they may jump from there to Act 3, Scene 4. And then they may jump to Act 1, Scene 7. And there's a reason why they do that. You would think that the progression would be, let's start at the beginning and let's evolve the story as we go. But that's not the way it works. The way it works is it's based upon what locations you need to shoot at, what locations are available, when actors are available. There's a whole lot of dynamics in the sense of pre-production, post-production, set building, all these other things that often determine what part of a movie gets worked on first. So it could be totally jumbled around in a whole nother way, but when it gets to the final edit, all those things are put together in an order that start to make sense, which is why editors are so important. Game development can work the same way. So there are times when we wonder, why did they put out a frickin' this when we still have this to get done? It's because the people who are ready to work on such and such are ready. They can do it now and we can put it in the game. That doesn't feel good for us because we're looking for the progression. We're looking for this was tier 0 here. Why am I not seeing tier 3 or tier 2 or 3, 4, 5? Because they had to go do something else before they could move forward. And that's I'm not taking anything away from the fact that it feels very frustrating, but that is the way even gaming is put together. So even though our subconscious wants to see things move forward in a certain way, you don't build that way when it comes to a game. Or movies, or TV. Go ahead.
I would definitely say people are frustrated. Like you go back and past Citizen Cons where they talk about farming coming out in 3.0, and they showed us the Microtech the Microtech mission when he's going in there, he's all like stealth and stuff.
Right?
And everyone's like,
yeah,
that's amazing.
Yeah.
Like, and then they showed like the cloth tech before we get to the soccer ball thing around the guys.
Yeah, the AI walking on the ship. Remember that? Getting onto the Valkyrie.
That stuff was great. So I mean, that's what people are looking for. But again, they pull back and they say, "Hey, this one thing, and it doesn't work for that," or "My hangar doesn't do this." When the hangars won't even be a thing when we get base building into play. Really, no one's gonna give a crap about their hangar, flare when they can have a base building and all that stuff. We're going to see the base building this year, but how long is it going to take for them to get that in? It could be another 2-3 years. So, so that's the way I look at it.
Okay. All right, Admiral. Thanks for dropping in. All right, let's bring in Kai Zin, KZ. Hey, Kai, how are you?
What up? How you doing, brother?
Pretty good.
So I got a couple quick points. The first one is we need to stop. It is so retarded, everything gate. Gate means you're lazy and you're stupid and you wanted to make a mountain out of a molehill. So whenever you want to try to turn some kind of thing into a huge deal when it's not, it's whatever gate. And to be clear, this is 0% directed at Pops. I know he's just taking the name that the community has given this stupid nothing of a thing. Secondly, I gotta say I 100% disagree with Togi's point with respect, and I understand where he's coming from. He's just dead wrong.
About what?
CIG doesn't need to communicate more and better. They need to communicate a hell of a lot less. They need to shut the hell up and actually make progress at doing a thing. Now, unfortunately, they've put themselves in a position based on the promises they've made that they can't do that because they literally built up all of these promises that they were going to do the opposite. That's not what they need to do. They need to shut up and make progress, because the problem with this project is that it's constantly running 1,000,000 miles an hour and never getting closer to the finish line. And I feel like the points that everyone else brought up, Kusanagi and Pops and yourself just a minute ago when you talked about, hey man, when they make a film based on the shooting schedule and the actors and pre-production concerns and whatever, they do it out of whatever. Yeah, that's why they don't show you the movie in the order they filmed it. They keep their mouth shut, they get progress, they get a project out, and then you can decide if it's good or it's dog shit. That's what CIG needs to do. They need to shut up, make progress, put out a game, first Squadron, and then Star Citizen. I think honestly, and I could be dead wrong, but I feel like they would be hopefully 2-3 times as far in the progress of actually getting this done if they communicated 1/10 as much as they do. Now, the problem with that is based on how they promised everything, it might kill their funding, which, oh, that's a headache. I don't know how you do that, but I think they would be so much farther along if they just were quiet and doing the work and not focusing on every week. There's this gate and this one's pissed off because X is too high, and this one's pissed off because X is too low, and this one's pissed off because how come we're talking about X and not Y, and this one's pissed off because I thought we were going to have more turtle aliens, and that one, all of the stuff. You're now trying to make a bunch of people happy about how good a sandwich is when you're still a half a decade away from making the goddamn sandwich. All right, I'm out. I love you.
That's okay. That's an interesting perspective. I think that, again, I've always said when we get to the end of this road, we'll find out whether or not CIG's decisions were the right decisions, whether that's the engine they use or communication. I think Kai raises great points, and we've talked about this before. CIG would probably eliminate a lot of their headaches if they had just did this as closed development. But the reality of it is, and Kai, I hate to say this, how do you get the money? How do you draw the interest? You could get a one-time hit, maybe, but I'm not so sure that the funding would have come this way. I'm not so sure that the game would be the game that we're looking for. I think that people would have given a certain amount of money to a certain point, and we would have been, whatever they delivered at that point, that would have been it. I think we would have gotten maybe Squadron 42, but not the Persistent Universe, or we may have gotten the Persistent Universe and not Squadron 42. I agree that CIG painted this box that they created. It's a unique box. It's a different box. I'm not going to say whether it was better for them to not say anything, or there are times when I think that to minimize the frustration and the aggravation, if they did close development, we'd be playing some other game and not even thinking about all this stuff. But would the interest still be there? Would the game have been what we really wanted it to be? That becomes the question. And so I think it's as much as I like the idea of closed development to shut down all this aggravation, I'm not convinced that this would have been it. I think that, there's another side of this too. Maybe the frustration is what comes along with it. Maybe that was something that we didn't see. Maybe we didn't understand that the same frustration that the developers have to deal with, we get our own version of that frustration in a development process. And the question is, how do we deal with it? But, again, we will see what happens. Let me bring in Fist to Face, and then we're going to move on to the next subject. Hey, Fist.
Hey, what's happening, Griff?
How are you?
So I'll keep it short. I don't really see all of these things as, the changes that they did or changes that they didn't do or whatever, as them being such like a big old conspiracy thing.
Okay.
I hear gate.
Right. It's a conspiracy. Yeah.
It's like there's this, but I understand frustration. I get it. We all have frustrations with, but let me pick out one thing. Okay, the sniper glint thing, right? I get that. I look at it like this. It was something that I believe is a placeholder. It's just my assumption because, okay, it is easy to spot somebody from a far distance, if you're going into somewhere or whatever, and somebody's setting up on you, and you can spot the glint.
Can I ask you a question? Can I ask you a question?
Go ahead.
Have you ever been camped before in a game by a sniper?
Oh yeah.
What advantage did you have over them?
So I played Battlefield. What advantage I had over them? I mean, really, they had sniper glint in there, so that's where you kind of spotted them. You know what I mean? To me, I
you ever played a game? You ever have a game that didn't have sniper glint?
No.
Oh really? Oh, you haven't. So you never been sniped by somebody in a game that didn't have sniper glint before?
No.
You know what you're
like I said.
Okay, so you know what the advantage is? None.
The advantage is none. Exactly.
It is 100%. It is 100%.
I mean, that's realism
to the other person, right? No, but hear what I'm saying. It is 100% to the other person, right? Okay. So when you say the word realism, and this gets me when people say realism in the game, because people say realism when it's to their advantage, but they don't really want real realism unless you're playing a game like Arma. Not you.
Okay.
Unless you're playing a game like Arma. Okay. Because realism takes into factor weight of the bullet, weight of the gun, wind direction, angle of attack, all this other stuff, right?
Right.
So if you want realism, go realism all the way. Not you.
I get you.
But when people want to bark realism, but they only want realism when it's to their advantage, because the person who's getting sniped, what realism do they have? Is to die. That's it.
Exactly.
So if I happen to see your freaking glint off in the distance, what am I going to do when you hitting me with a sniper rifle, but I'm sitting here with my, SMG? The only advantage I have is what? Run.
Exactly.
So I don't understand the big argument about sniper glint. I'm sorry, I don't. Like I can just pull my sniper rifle out and pop you because I saw your sniper glint. Because the sniper glint is based upon pointing at me. Now, mind you, I know when they first put it out, you didn't have to be directly in line. You could be off to the side and see it. I get that. But to your point, it's a placeholder. Something to start with. So we'll see what happens with it. But anyway, go ahead.
Right. So my thing is that because you can ask Pops, like before they put sniper glint in, I used to do this when I used to go to Tram and Myers, right? And me and Pops used to get diamonds from there. Guess what I would do? I would look at every single spot that I know somebody can set up. I look at every single spot. My head was on a swivel. As Pops was getting out, I'm in the pilot seat. I'm looking. I'm in third person view, right? Now, is third person view realism? No. No, it's not. Right?
Yeah.
Because we got a floating camera that basically we could see 360 panorama vision.
Yeah, right. Exactly.
So I get it and I understand, but that's what I use. That's what I do.
I get it. I get it. No, I get it. I agree. Yeah.
So again, I get it. I understand people's frustration.
Yeah.
The skybox thing. It came in, it was big months, but then they toned it back. It's right now we are in the growing pains, ladies and gentlemen, of the game. So let's suck it up and let's grow with it.
Yeah, that's a good. It's a good choice of a word. Growing pains, and growing pains are not something we look forward to. And they hurt, but they do. But you do hope that the delivery is healthy, right? To Togi's point and to some of the other people's points, it makes you hope that all this we're going through is going to be what we want. Because if it's not, right, then that becomes a very big frustration. But we'll see. We'll see. But no, those are great analogies, and especially the the third person view. I like that. All right, buddy. Thanks a lot. All right. Thank you, Fist to Face. All right, guys. Thanks so much for the great comments and stuff. Shout out to Ice Cold Joe 42. Thank you for being here. Appreciate you, and for 3 months subscribing. Really, really appreciate that. A lot of interesting perspectives on this. Yeah, the gate, the good old gate. I don't know which one this might be reflective of, but there's interesting. As I go down this list of items, it's interesting to see some of these. The skybox gate, we talked about that a little bit. I think master modes, that gate, I think that's definitely going to be something that continues to be tweaked. I don't think we're there yet. The HUD, for those of you who all saw the notes, they've already been working on the HUD and making corrections there. The fuel gate. Fueling, we've talked about this a long time ago. Fuel numbers are going to change. Yes, there's not going to be this leisurely ride across this galaxies unless you have the money to do so. So get ready for it. You guys have been given monopoly money for so long. And wait till the economy kicks in, and I know people saying, oh, it's not worth, traveling across here. Is that? Listen, they told us a long time ago. And for those of you who may, and let me say this, I'm gonna say this nicely, because there are some people who weren't around back then, or maybe didn't see the ISC or the ATF or whatever it was. CIG said that when we're playing this game, when you make your home, let's say you make your home as Hurston, right? the first thing you're going to do is not leave Hurston and fly to Microtech. The first thing you're going to be doing is building up from Hurston. And the idea is that there will be missions and things for you to do on that planet. In fact, to such a degree that if you just want to stay there for a while and maybe deal with the moons of Hurston, that's all you'll do, and you'll make your money. And then as you begin to make your money and make more money, then you will start to have enough money to say, I can go from Hurston now. Maybe I can go visit Crusader. And then you're going to do some stuff there, and you're going to work between those planets. And then from there, you're going to say, hey, I can now make it all the way over to Microtech. We've been so used to jumping in a ship and going day one from R-Corp to Microtech, 59 million kilometers, and it being pennies on the dollar. The change is going to come, guys, and the change is coming now. And so we want you to understand that that's the way the game is designed. They're not doing anything to hurt you. They're putting the game more in line for what we're supposed to be able to do in the game. So get ready. Pyrogate tomorrow. No, not tomorrow anymore. Next week, hopefully. Let's see. Meshgate. We've been testing the meshing out. And yes, it was a way for 500 people a week ago. This was written actually a week ago. But as you guys know, they've been up to 800, 1,000, 2,000 people, and they're making it better and better and better. I think they were like at 800. It was running fairly smooth for most people. So it's getting there. Okay. Boost gate, the boost gate for the overheat. Yes, overheating, that could happen. Yes, and that could happen because we used to have overheating back in the day. Some of you guys may remember when you used to jump from Hurston to Port Olisar. You actually could overheat the quantum drive. The quantum drive would shut down on you if you didn't manage your power. And they took it away because that was what they were working on. And now they're bringing that type of gameplay back. So it's not foreign. Some of you may not have been around back then, but that was a real thing. Atlas Gate, we created a deficiency to sell a solution to us. You don't have to buy it. You don't have to buy it. I'm going to say that again. You don't have to buy it. They can sell all they want. You don't have to buy it. Get it in game. You know, you put that on yourself. Triggergate. Now, this one I will say something about, but this has happened before. Things were going so well that we decided to remove the options. So if you don't know what they're talking about, was in the options menu, for those of you who do dual stick or dual throttle, whatever, now they in the options thing, they had it so only one stick would work. You couldn't use your other stick for stuff, right? So I think that's a bug. I think that's going to end up coming back again. You disagree? Everyone go out and buy the Atlas. Thanks, almost right. I'm trying to help people. Don't tell them that. But anyway, I think that's just something that's going to get fixed because everybody's dual sticking. Not everybody, but a lot of people are dual sticking, and I think that's going to come back. I think it was just something in the new options that didn't go in. Multi-crew gate. Why crew a ship that is destroyed by fighters they can't even target? I don't know why people can't target fighters because the speeds are coming down. I don't know. I don't get that. Gate, part of Pyrogate. And big enough to get its own line by popular demand. I see listening to my consumers. I don't know what that is. And then Sniper Gate. We talked about the sniper stuff already. Okay, let's move on. What time is it? It's almost time for a commercial break. You know what? I think I'm going to take a commercial break now because the last topic I have is not really going to be a long topic. At least I don't think it will be. So we're going to probably end a little early today because I know Paul was already up. So we're going to talk about that for just a minute. So let's take our commercial break. When we come back, we're going to hit on our second topic and then our third topic, and then we're going to wrap it up today. But thanks for being here, and stick around. We got a little bit more coming. Let's see. Okay, we should be on our commercial break. As always, want to say thank you to those of you who are here with us today for our show, for Soul Voices. Thank you guys for just being here. All the great comments. So much stuff was running through here. It's it's just so funny. I'm reading Lefty's comments. Support your local developer. He bought 5 atlases. But thank you guys for being here. We're going to be doing a show tomorrow called Hype and Hopium. And we're going to be talking about CitizenCon coming up next week. And we're going to go through the schedule, what we think some of those topics will be, and whether you think CIG is going to do anything that surprises us next week. So hopefully you guys will be able to join us for that and have a good time with that conversation. 2 more things to knock out today. The next thing we're going to be talking about is, I don't even remember myself what the next thing is. Oh, we're going to be talking about System Shock, about what's getting ready to happen with 4.0. And stuff like that. Alrighty, are we back? Yes, we're back. Hey, we're back, everybody. Thank you guys again for being here. Appreciate you. This is Soul Voices one-on-one conversation. You get to come in, share your thoughts about the topics that I picked for this week from Spectrum and Reddit and CIG. And we are going to move on to our second topic. And our second topic is entitled System Shock. Are you ready for the expanded universe? Yes, the System Shock. And the reason why I'm calling this System Shock is not necessarily about the different solar systems or systems that CIG wants to put in, but I'm talking about the game system. You know, these changes that we're talking about that are happening as they start to bring the game more and more in line with what Chris Roberts' vision is for this game. Are we ready for it? A lot of stuff we have is placeholder. I'm going to go back to an old placeholder. And you guys, if you weren't here for it, I know you've heard about it. And it was Tessa Bannister. Tessa Bannister was our very first mission giver in Star Citizen. What you would do is you would leave Port Olisar. I got to remember this myself because it's been, Jesus Christ, probably 8 years. You would leave Port Olisar and you would target this one satellite station. Orbitals. It wasn't an orbital because we didn't have any planets. It was just a station out in space. And you would fly there. And when you would jump to it, you would get this radio signal saying attention, calling to you as soon as you got there. And it was this woman named Tessa Bannister who was there. And as you approached the station, she would start talking to you. And then she would tell you that she got a distress signal and ask if you would be willing to respond to that distress signal. There was no landing at the station. All you could do was see it. All you could do was fly around it. And that was all you could do. And then from there, you would get a marker and you would fly to this marker. And if I'm remembering correctly, the very first marker you flew to was kind of like at a little asteroid belt. And you would get there and there was a ship that had been destroyed. When you get there, you find out that it's been destroyed and there's a black box. This was the first time you had to learn how to get out of your ship and EVA out. And you'd go out and this beeping would be going off. And the closer you got to the beeping, the louder it would get. And eventually you would find this black box that had a red light flashing on it. And you'd grab the box and you would take the box back to your ship. And then you would go back to Tessa and you would get paid. That was our very, very, very first mission. And we had Tessa Bannister for a long time. That was like the game. There were 10 levels of that. You would go to like from mission 1 to mission 10. And in mission 10, you actually fought against the Van Duel, if I'm remembering correctly. And so it was very cool. And man, we love that because you look forward to coming to the game and you would do those 10 missions and you'd be like this. Sometimes you wouldn't make it to 10. Sometimes you get killed at the 5th mission or the 7th mission. So it was always a challenge to make it to that final mission at the end. And then they took Tessa away. And man, when they took Tessa away, it wasn't like, hey, that's great, we're moving forward. People were upset because we were used to Tessa and we were like, why do you have to take Tessa away? Why can't you leave her? Well, Tessa was nothing more than a test platform for us, for the game. Tessa may come back. I think they even said she may come back, but that was just for that moment and what we were doing. So that was a system shock. It threw us off a little bit when that happened. It was not so bad, but we felt a certain kind of way when Tessa Bannister disappeared. So I'm saying that because there are going to be more changes of things that are going to be coming in the game. Some of those things will be things that will come back to the game, and some of those things will be things that we'll never see again. They were just there for the sake of testing the game out. So I wanted to give this to here, and I want to give a shout out to two people, Serious Fun and to Olefty, who sent me this morning. I woke up, they didn't know that this was going to be my topic for the day. So, it seems like the stars always seem to align when we try to come up with our topics about change. But the message of the day, this was from this morning. We are currently focusing on 2 builds today. First, we have a Evocati playtest this afternoon on a full 4.0 build for 2 to 3 hours. This will have Stanton Pyro jump gates, 100 server meshings for test. We also have a new 3.24.2 build for release to PTU later today. That will include part of a new global mission playtest. Okay, that was from Lagerdarg. Garger. I'm saying his name. I'm killing that name. The other message came from Frigga. And her message was, Fregar. I'm thinking about Freya. That's Fregar. Yeah, I'm slaughtering their names. Please forgive me. My German is terrible if that's German. A new 3.24.2 build is now open for all backers. Everybody, right? Version 3.24.2 PTU. Bug fixes and issue discussion is also available, so we can get out there and test this new. Everybody, it's open to everybody, not just levels of wave 1 and 2, but everybody can go into the PTU now and test out all this new cool stuff. Okay, Ivacati, they're all ready today. They're going to be jumping in, hitting 4.0 as we prepare 1 week out. So my question is, the expanded universe. Are you ready for it? You know, are you ready for all these changes? I don't know who came in first. I don't know if it was Lefty or Kai. So I'm gonna bring in Lefty first because he hasn't been here yet. Hey, Lefty, how are you?
Hey, Griffin. So first, I just want to apologize to everybody if I'm a little distracted because I'm watching Ivacati testing chat right now for the moment that the patch drops.
Okay, cool.
But yeah, I remember having good days playing with 2 to 7 frames a second, and it was a really good day if you got through all 10 missions without crashing with Tessa. That, you know, it was amazing back then what we were able to do compared to other games, and I think every single time that CIG reaches another milestone, if you're looking for it, you can see all the things that they're doing that are above and beyond adjacent games. People try to argue all the time, oh, we can play Elite Dangerous and it's basically Star Citizen, and no, when you step back and think about it, it's really not. And so I'm particularly excited about, you know, 4.0 coming down the pipes and getting those multiple systems, but there are definitely a lot of things that I'm looking forward to in the CitizenCon panels where I think they'll be talking about a lot of this system shock that you're leaning into right now. And also in the future, you know, I've heard it a few times over the years, permanent reputation is going to be a thing. So all these guys that do PvP and flight and don't like the slower flight model, they're really going to hate it when they start killing people and they have this permanent reputation damage. So, you know, I think there are things that have been happening with Star Citizen that, like you say, they removed the global inventory. Now we got cargo. And so they're introducing friction into the system, but it's in a way that makes the universe more believable. Death of a Spaceman, the cargo friction, the reputation system, all of these things that give you a reason to play. It gives you friction, so you have to fight against it and invest yourself in the game. And then when you see these extreme comments from people, I think a lot of that is the vocal minority, and I've actually been pretty pleasantly surprised, especially with cargo. There's a little bit of an outcry, but then you notice the people that do cargo, they actually are having fun with this Tetris. You know, there's a gamification to it that people are, you know, biting into, and it makes the game meatier, is how I would put it. So System Shock, I think overall everybody is a little afraid of change, but I would just encourage everybody to embrace it.
See where it goes, right?
And then the one other thing that I do want to say is the haters can suck it. We're playing 4.0 today if the patch holds.
All right. Thanks, Lefty. Thanks for sending me the info again. Thanks, buddy.
Yeah. Take care.
All right. I got Kai's in here. By the way, don't forget, you guys can come in and share your thoughts about the topics that we have. There's a link that pops up in the chat to bring you in Discord, and we'll bring you in. Hey, Kai.
Sorry about that. All right. Hello. Are we ready for an expanded universe? My question would be, is CIG ready? They've been showing the first jump to Pyro. They showed off in 2019. You realize how long ago 2019 was? That's half a decade ago. Last year, 2 years ago, it was Pyro. CitizenCon 2 years ago was Pyro's just around the corner. Meaning we were expecting to get Pyro in 2023. It didn't happen. Then they said, oh, but Pyro 2024, it didn't happen. Now Pyro 2025, like, what? Less talking, more dev.
You don't think that, or you said that we were expecting it to come the next year. Who was expecting it to come the next year?
For sure, when they did all of the shit last year at Pyro, they were saying, you're getting Pyro 2024.
Well, this is 2024, right?
Yeah. I don't think we're getting it 2024. I think
Maybe. Well, that's a maybe. You don't know that. That's just an opinion. We may get it this year, right? Is there a possibility we can get it this year?
I mean, like I said, they showed off.
No. Answer my question. And don't avoid my question. Don't avoid my question. Is there a possibility?
Absolutely.
Okay, now you can say the rest of it.
That happens.
Okay, that's what I make sure.
There's a chance that P. Diddy wins the presidency. I'm not betting.
Well,
on
no,
it,
I was only saying that because you were asserting that it would not happen this year, and I wanted to make sure that we weren't saying definitely. You're saying it could come out this year.
Sure. Yeah.
Okay. Fair enough.
Sure.
Fair enough. I mean, you've been predicting 2 years, 5 years, but I just want to make sure that our folks feel, understand that there's a possibility. Right?
I'm just saying, like, Pyro's been just around the corner for a couple of
just around the corner?
Now.
Just around the corner is a subjective statement.
A couple of citizen.
Hear what I'm saying. That is a subjective statement. There was never a definitive. There was only one time I heard CIG say that they thought they were going to have it out that year. That's the only time I've ever heard them say that.
Bro,
so
at this
just
point,
around the
I'll
corner.
be happy if we get to Pyro before we get to Mars, man.
Okay, fair enough.
I love you, brother.
I do. Take care. All right. I don't know who was here first, whether it was Togi or Pops. I'll bring Togi in because I think Togi Pops came in last. Hey, Togi.
What up?
Hey there.
So the only thing I really have to say with this, right, is that it seems to me that a lot of time System Shock is used as an excuse to ignore criticism, right? And that we need to keep in mind that there is a big difference between people being upset about change and people being upset about bad change. And that's something that I think CIG themselves are not very good at differentiating. And a lot of times players aren't. I mean, like, and I mean, I'm sure that Q Lefty was generalizing, but even what he said, where it's like, oh well, PvPers and they're not liking the slow flight model. A lot of people don't like it. It's not just PvP.
I am very happy to be here.
It is danger level. So yeah, it might have something to do with, with other problems in the engine with desync and stuff, right? But let's not use, oh well, no one likes change as an excuse to be dismissive of criticisms.
Yeah, and I don't think I'm trying to dismiss criticism. I'm saying
I don't think you are either.
Yeah. But you're saying people will. Yeah, but people will. Yeah. I'm just saying that change. Remember I said even when change is good for us, even when it's good, it feels bad because we're just by nature change just does not feel good. Tessa did not feel good when it left. And it was leaving for a good reason. I did not like when I didn't say, oh, well, that's great. Now that means that we're moving on to the next mission giver. That is not how I felt in the moment. I felt I felt a vacuum. You know what I'm saying? And so, and because there was nothing that came right behind it to reassure me on how I was feeling, I felt a big vacuum, like something about Star Citizen had changed. Irregardless of my knowledge of knowing that there's development and this is going to be better later on, I felt a certain kind of way. Okay. And there were people who wrote in and said, hey, I could bring Tessa back. People even today, years later, say, bring Tessa back, even in the midst of all the stuff that's happened, because there's a certain way that made people feel when they played the game. Now, I agree with you to a point, Togi, about the communication area. I just don't know if I knew, and I don't know if it would be healthy for me to know what Chris Roberts. I'm not sure, and somebody else has said this, I'm not even sure Chris Roberts knows in the end what this is going to look like. I believe he knows what he wants, but what this game is going to be in the end is dependent upon even variables that he and CIG can't control. For example, technology itself is an issue. This idea of thousands of people being able to play at the same time on this game globally and not have all of the hurdles that have existed for decades when it comes to gaming. I don't know how they're going to do that. It sounds great. But the reality of it is that the speed of light is the speed of light. There's certain things about physics you can do. And I don't care how great Amazon servers are. I still wonder how they're going to make it that someone in frickin' Australia and Germany and the North America are going to be able to play high intensity. Maybe it is the slowing down has to do with that. Maybe there's some reason. I don't know. And so maybe the compromise becomes I got to slow ships down. And I got to slow down laser fire down, because games like Eve have proven that it cannot be done so far. They have to time dilate to make those battles happen. Now, that's a compromise I may not like as a combat fighter, but if it's going to make the overall aspect of the game work, and that's the compromise, then me as that combat fighter will have to decide, okay, I get it, I don't like it, or I may say there are other games out there that deliver the level of action that I want. And as much as I want this game to do it, it's not giving it to me. Just like No Man's Sky doesn't offer certain things. I think it's great stuff about No Man's Sky, but there's something about it just does not grab me. Nothing to take away from No Man's Sky. Nothing to take away from Elite Dangerous. But if I don't know if this game's going to be what people want it to be, and riding in this weird wave of, like, just back in the day when we had jousting. People loved the jousting aspect of air combat, of space combat. There's some people who loved it. But it got pulled back, and they loved it. It went away. Again, I don't know where this is going to go. I wish I could say I knew what the end result would be, because I think that would make everybody kind of know where they want to stand with this freaking development. But this change dynamic is what makes it very difficult,
Yeah, no, I mean, and I totally get that. Sometimes it kind of feels like you're standing on platforms that keep falling.
Yes. Yes.
You keep on having to jump to a different one.
Yes.
And you're standing on the last one that you got,
yeah,
and you don't know where to jump anymore.
Yeah, I can understand it. it. Yeah, it's a frustrating point. Here's what I'm hoping, Togi, and I'm gonna be honest. I'm gonna say this publicly. I said this last year when we got through with Citizen Con. I said that this year, 2024, it is imperative that CIG deliver, and I was saying that statement not because of me, but because of the way I was feeling, our community was feeling, that they have waited long enough. And when I say deliver, I mean they have to give us enough of something that finally makes people feel like it was worth it, right? Not an extension, not another year, not another, just embrace the vision. But I mean, they need to give some tangible things, because I feel like there are people like you and other people who are truly supportive of the project, but there's only so much time that we as gamers, as people, as consumers are willing to give grace. And I feel like it's stretched now to the place where y'all really got to deliver at this point. Okay. People have sacrificed, put in time, they've tested, they've cheered, they've cried. We're at that place now. That's where I feel things are.
Had just enough to put into my sails, so I knew what way the winds of change were blowing. I would feel so much better.
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah, that's a very eloquent way of putting that. That's more than fair.
Put some air in my sails here, so I know where to stick my keel. And I know where we're headed.
Yes.
But I'm sitting dead in the middle of the water with nothing in sight in still air.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it is a bad feeling to have.
Yeah. Excuse me 1 second, Togi. I got a family thing happening here. Oh, 803-358. Okay, I'm back. I'm sorry. Oh, did I mute myself? Okay, I'm back. Sorry about that. Okay, yeah. I'm sorry. Apologize for that. Little family thing going on.
That's pretty much all I had to say about it.
Okay, no, appreciate you coming in and sharing that, Togi. Appreciate that, brother. Alrighty, I don't know if Pops was next, I think. Hey, let's bring in Pops in space. Hey, Pops.
Hey, Griff.
How are you?
As far as change, am I ready? No. Let's just stay in Stanton and never move on, never move forward. Let's just stay right here where it's safe and we can all feel comfortable.
Okay.
No, I was gonna basically what you said it about moving on to they need to give us more. They really do. And
Excuse
so
Pops,
you
excuse me,
already said
excuse me, Pops, hold on a second. I'm sorry, what, sweetie? Are you telling me there's another code? What was that from?
Code to open up the door, so I had to reset it on my side, and it sent the code to your.
Yeah.
But
Did you do 803258?
I think you said 803-358.
No, I said 258. Or if I did, whatever. I'm sorry, but I'm doing my stream. I'm sorry. You just do it again, and I'll send it to you. All right. Okay, I'm sorry. All right, Pops. Yeah, please forgive me.
No, all I can say now is
Danger
I agree
hobo,
with what
thanks.
you said. Yeah, I agree with what you said. As far as they need to get close to the point to where they are giving us dates like they did this year. We'd like to deliver this, and they need to do that. So I agree with you, and that's what I was going to say. You stole the words out of my mouth. So
Okay.
there you go.
Thanks, Pops. I appreciate that. Thanks for your
Alright.
patience. I know, y'all. I keep forgetting this only mutes my Discord. It doesn't mute the stream. So I'm sorry you guys are hearing me. This conversation I was having a lot with my family. I'm sorry. Let me bring in, I think Admiral Kusanagi was next. Admiral, how are you?
Hold on, I'm all confused now. I'm trying to figure out this
My
number, how to
code?
dial this thing here.
It's not a code for that. It's for something else. You all are funny. So go ahead. What you got?
Nah, I mean, it just goes away. I mean, like, you guys, Poe got me on this Winds of Change thing from the Scorpions. I've been
I
singing that in my
know.
head.
That's what I
past
said. It
30
was
seconds. I don't
eloquent.
know.
That's what I said. That was
I don't know what
eloquent.
I was gonna start with the lyric of that song, but then you got me going with the phone number or whatever the hell it was, like
Yeah.
temperature for the cake in the oven or something. No, it's the same thing. I guess this looks great for people. I think for backers and stuff like that. You know, it's that. But again, I think everybody expects to get pyro by CitizenCon. It's just what they're trying to push to get us there. So I think that puts people at ease because there are many people that said, "Hey, we're getting 4.0 and quarter." I've heard quarter 1, quarter 2 of 2025. I've heard quarter 4 like after CitizenCon. So if they can get this out either at or during or after CitizenCon, like, hey, we're closing up CitizenCon, but in 24 hours 4.0 is going to be live, then I think that's really cool. To your other point that you made, and I know we've talked about this before, of like, what I think you and other people in the community, like, we need to see some like solid gameplay. Again, I fall back on seeing gameplay that is potentially flawless and how they want Star Citizen to play, but in a single player environment. And to look at that gameplay and to say, oh, this is how they want master modes to work, when they're finished with it in the PU, or this is how they want, me to load my magazine in a single player environment in the PU. I think that is where we need to say, okay, what are we really getting in the PU that we don't have now, that we know they're going to start importing, they have been importing into the PU and the PTU and so forth. And once we get that in our hands, we'll have a much better understanding of how everything interacts and HUDs and everything else. I think that is really. I mean, I've talked last night. It was like 3 a.m. To Paradise, who I told him to show up today, but I think he's with his parents. But he said he didn't want to play, Squadron 42, and I'm like, okay, but yeah, but your big thing, you want to see stuff in the game, but like, it's a clear example of what's working, how they want it to work, and you can look at that as a metric to say, okay, how far are we from this in the PU? Like, are we tier 2? This gameplay works like this. Okay, how does it play in the PU right now? Like, how much further do you think we need in there? Like, oh, this is exactly works the same. So we know they're done. We know there's this tier 55 or 42. Let's go 42.
Yeah.
And this is tier 42 because it's perfect. It's Squadron 42 is supposed to be done, and it's in my hands. It's in my in my, on my PC, and it works great, so forth. That's the idea. And if it works, and if it seems like it's done there, then that should be going in the PU. And if it's finished in there, then hey, I know that it's done in there. Because we have no idea if anything in the game is done right now.
Right.
Which is going off of like, hey, it's still in transition, it's still alpha. We don't have like a box to check off, like, oh, we know this is done, we know this is done, we know this is done. But when we get Squadron 42 in our hands, we will know by playing that game and then going to play the PU, hey, I know these portions of the game are done. They just need to import this other stuff and then bring in the economy. And we know they're working with all these different players, 1,000 people in a server. So it's coming along, but we really have to, it's going to take until we see this game come out. And I think people don't give a shit about it, but it really is a huge, important part to figure out where we are in the development of the MMO.
Yeah. I agree 100%. All right, Admiral, thank you very much. I'm going to bring up Almost over. I'm going to hit our final topic for the night. Almost, how are you, buddy?
Morning, sir.
Good.
What I have to say about all this is it's a little weird for me. I haven't been a part of the whole community for very long, only a little over 2 years now. Or no, it's maybe a little less, 2 years. Can't remember exactly. But you said something earlier about how you felt the community felt, and that's why they CIG needed to deliver. And me being not exactly a new player, but relatively new compared to everybody else, it's kind of strange to me. I feel like a lot of people, including the majority of the community, have just been on the boat too long, and everyone's getting seasick. Because
I like that.
I'm, as a relatively new player, I don't understand all the negativity or the sadness, or that people not understanding change, or because I just look at it as the process of development. Master modes is something that I personally don't like, but I also understand that this is something that they're trying. They had a different flight model before master modes. I like that. Obviously, I mean, I didn't want it to be the end all be all, but I like that compared to master modes. I would prefer that over master modes. But at the same time, I understand that it's not about what I like. It's about what's good for the whole of the game and for the masses and whatnot. And I also understand that they try things. It's a part of development. Oh, this isn't working. Well, I mean, the flight model before for master modes, that was their quote unquote try, right? And they realized people didn't like it. And so they're okay, all right, we need to come up with something else. Here's master modes, right? A lot of people don't like master modes. Problem is, it's probably going into Squadron 42. It's kind of hard to pull that ripcord right now, seeing as how the train is moving already. So I think Squadron 42 might be a little stuck in it, but the PU might not have master modes or a different iteration of it, or like I don't understand people's frustration with thinking that what we have now is the way it's always going to be, or the ship is turning too slowly for what they would like. And then another thing, you said earlier about all the hate potentially comes with CIG's open development. That is correct. And I would say this because if they closed development and gave people less, it would give people less to complain about. But at the same time, you get closed development and you end up with things like Starfield. Things that people definitely don't like, but because they had no say-so in the matter, it's just terrible. Right? And the only redeeming, I haven't played Starfield, but the only redeeming things I've heard about it was that the side missions were good, or something like that. So, but everything else about Starfield, terrible. So at the end of the day, I appreciate people voicing their concerns with the game because it helps the development of the game. It is Chris Roberts' vision, but you as the individual player can bring up something or suggest something that helps them tweak it. And you can say, I helped contribute to that one thing that seems so insignificant, but I helped. Rather than us completely take our hands off the wheel and accept whatever amalgamation would come from a closed development, right?
Yeah. Good point.
That's kind of what I always want to say.
No, it's a good point, and it's a good perspective. It's a good perspective from someone who's been in the game less time. Black Intellect saying he's been in here 6 years and he feels similar to you. You know, you have different people who feel differently about the game. There's some people who've been in the game 14 years and they don't feel that way, and there are people who do under those same. I know people who've been in the gear 2 years and they feel a certain kind of way about the game, and they've only been here 2 years. So there's a lot of feeling, passion, concern, a lot, no matter how long people have been in the development. You know, sometimes it is the louder voices. I think Lefty's point about that earlier, that sometimes that is the minority. It's not everybody who feels a certain way, but the minority can't be left behind. I'm gonna talk about that a little bit in my final section of the show. So thanks, Almost, appreciate that. I'm gonna bring in Lefty real quick and I'm gonna wrap up for the night. Hey, Lefty.
Hey. So I just want to touch on one thing that Almost Ova said that I want to elaborate a little bit on. I've heard a lot over the past few weeks that just people that are fed up feel like their feedback isn't heard. And I can definitely agree with that CIG could do a better job of listening, or at least indicate that they are listening. Even if it's just non-answers, but acknowledgments. But I just want to say for everybody that's tuned into the stream, you absolutely have a voice in this community, and that you can provide your feedback on Spectrum. That is their official communication platform that CIG stood up for this game. I've seen ideas there that, you know, get bashed by other people. I've seen ideas that are just not fleshed out. I've seen great ideas that got no CIG response. I would just say that if you feel like your voice isn't being heard, I guess a lot of the people that have said that to me recently, I'm not saying everybody, but it's like I've tried nothing and I'm all out of ideas, is what their approach has been. And I would just encourage people that do have ideas to try to put that into some form of constructive criticism. And to flesh out the ideas, provide an alternative, provide, you know, how you feel, but then also how you think about how things need to change, and provide that feedback to CIG on one of these communication platforms that they do read everything from. They have community managers that go through Spectrum, they read the posts, they float them up to devs. Sometimes they'll say when they do, sometimes they won't, but they still will. Let your voice be heard. Put your word out there.
And be specific too. I think Lefty's point is well made here. I've known things that CIG has changed because of stuff that the community has brought forward. I know there's a lot of times people feel they're not listening. The question is, are they doing what you want versus listening? I think that they are quite often listening. There are devs, if you go to CitizenCon and you talk to these people, you'll find out that they do see posts or they know who people are. It doesn't mean that they have to do it. But maybe, like you said, Lefty, it's a matter of just an acknowledgement, like thanks for the suggestion, thanks for the idea, things of that nature. Be sure not to just go in and rant in the general section. There's an area called concern. There's a section under there called Ask the Devs. There's a section under there for game ideas. Utilize those areas, put them to use. And I know it may not feel like someone's listening, but I can tell you personally, I know for a fact that they do read, and sometimes even on the shows, the devs will say we were on, and I do follow up. Maybe not every dev, but there are people out there who do try to make time, even on their own time, to pay attention to what you guys are saying in the community.
And one last thing to add on that, you mentioned a few areas of Spectrum, the one thing particularly right now with so many things changing and so much system shock going on, there are focused feedback threads for a lot of these gameplay loops, gameplay elements. Master Modes has its own. There are specific feedback threads where you can provide a response and they will look at that.
Yep. Thanks, Lefty. Appreciate that. Good reminders.
Take care.
All right. Last but not least, Red Bear is coming up. I was just about to close out. I just looked up and saw he's here. So I'm going to bring Red in because he hasn't been in today. Hey, buddy.
Hey.
How are you?
How are you doing?
Okay.
Yeah. Not too bad. I just want to hook into this listening and Spectrum. I post a lot of suggestions on Spectrum myself, etc. But I'm not going to wait for a dev to. Well, thank you for your suggestion. I just see how many suggestions we'll post on that. Ask the devs. It's a lot. It's really a lot to fill in. Only like, oh, thanks for your suggestion. You need at least a couple of people.
Right.
Just to do that, man. It's insane. I'm not gonna expect that from CIG to say like, okay, guys, thanks. I mean, that would be too much to ask, in my opinion.
Well, I'm not asking it. They've done that before. I'm just saying, I know that helps if people feel like they're being acknowledged. That's all I'm saying. I said earlier, I wish they did have somebody that just focused on that because we don't want the devs to have to be spending all their time trying to read Spectrum all the time. A lot out there that people post. Not to mention all the replies and comments that go along with the original post, right?
Well, see, that's what I mean, right? It's a bit too much. So for the other thing, the development. I think you're right when you say like it's the patience of people who follow this for a long time. We are thin, you know. They want to have some results, and this is why I always said like it's very imperative they can. Ship Squadron 42 in a good state, right?
Yes.
And I think, and that's my statement for today, that they will announce it this year, that next year it will come out.
Okay. We shall see.
That's what I think.
That's your prediction. Okay.
And you can laugh in my face if it is.
No, I'm not laughing.
That's right.
No, anything's possible. All right, buddy. Thanks, Red.
Yes.
Alrighty. Thank you. All right, guys. Thanks so much. I want to close out today. We're gonna probably get out just a little bit early and send you guys over with our good friend Paul at the captain's table. But again, for those of you who got here a little bit late, the theme for today's show is a change is going to come, and we've been talking about the positives of change. You know, things when things get better. As CIG learns things and as we learn things as backers. And then sometimes when change doesn't feel good and CIG makes mistakes, they get their faux pas in. So I want to talk about this a little bit. Before I get into that, though, I do want to talk about something that was a kind of a conversation from last week. It was about the Corsair. It was about the changes that took place in it. And there was a post. Someone posted. I can't remember if I saw it on X or if I saw it on Spectrum. I saw it somewhere. But when the change was announced for the Corsair, the Connie owners, some Connie owner, kind of laughed, basically, in their post, right? And kind of like gave a shot across the bow, pardon the expression, to the Corsair owners. Like, because basically, Corsair owners have been kicking Connie's butts, I think, in the universe. And so they kind of took that as an opportunity to, kind of kick them a little bit while they were down, right? And kind of say, yeah, you Corsair owners, you thought you guys were all that great. Look at what happened, right? And when I saw that, I felt like kind of, like I got it. But it was kind of like, oh, dude, that's, come on, it really kind of stuck with me after last week, right? When I saw that, one of the things, and you guys know I'm an old man, right? You guys know I'm an old man, an old gamer, dinosaur gamer. And I've talked about the fact that when I see how gaming has changed over the years, I can honestly say decades, right? I can say decades because I started gaming in the 70s, okay? So it's a long time ago, right? I've not only watched how gaming has changed, but I have also watched how gamers have changed, right? And it's been interesting to watch both the evolution and the de-evolution of the gaming industry as well as gamers. So I'm going to preach to you today for a moment before I close out. This is going to be one of my preaching sessions. So if you don't want to hear any preaching, y'all know I'm a preacher. If y'all didn't know that, I'm a preacher. So if I'm going to just give you a little something to think about, okay? And we're going to see something here. So I'm going to give you a song. Some of you guys know, those of you who know anything about the Bible, you guys have heard the phrase parables, right? And parables were stories that were told so that people could equate to something that was really going on with them in a different manner. So like if I wanted to talk about, like if you came up in a rural community, if I talked about something in farming and related it to life today, you'd say, oh, I get it. I understand about farming. I understand about planting. So I'm going to use a parable here. It's a song. And the song is actually the title of this song. It says, A Change is Going to Come by Sam Cooke. So I'm going to read this to you, and I'm going to do a little bit of breakdown for it and give you your sermon for today. And then we're going to wrap up the show, okay? But this is the lyrics for the song. Some of you guys have heard this song before. If you don't know the words for it, that's fine, but these are the words for it, right? I was born by a river in a little tent. Oh, and just like that river, I've been running ever since. It's been a long time coming, but I know a change is going to come. Yes, it will. It's been too hard living, but I'm afraid to die because I don't know what's up there beyond the sky. It's been a long time coming, but I know a change is going to come. Oh, yes, it will. I go to the movies and I go downtown. Somebody keep telling me, don't hang around. It's been a long time coming, but I know that change is going to come. Now, some of you all may not know where this song comes from with Sam Cooke, but it was written in relation to the period of the civil rights movement, talking about the difficulties of growing up and living and talking about, sometimes he just got so desperate and felt so terrible. He says, it's been too hard living. I'm afraid to die because I don't know what's up there beyond the sky, not knowing where the future is and what's going to happen, all that good stuff. Try to do something simple, just go enjoy himself, go to the movies, go downtown. But then there's somebody that tells him, nah, you can't be here. You need to go somewhere. All right. Don't hang around. So I want to use some of this to talk about how we treat each other as gamers, right? That story I told you about the Connie thing, sure, it was a little people poking a little fun at somebody, giving them a little bit of a hard time. But, I think that as we deal with this development of Star Citizen, it's difficult. It's difficult for people who even are enjoying the ride. But it's also difficult for other people who want to enjoy the ride, but they just can't find it. It's just difficult for them. There are things that happen in the game. And my point is that it's okay to be competitive in the game, but I worry about gamers when we get competitive outside of the game. When we forget that other people are gamers too, and that they really want something good. Some of these people who might be giving you all this gripe are also the same people who've contributed money and time into the game. And they feel a certain way about that. And I think that, we need all the help we can get. We need all the friends we can get. We need all the support we can get. And to be dismissive of them and make them feel bad or talk about them or make them feel less than because they feel a certain kind of way when they're just trying to go to the movies and go downtown. And then there's somebody telling him, nah, you don't need to be here. You need to go someplace else. Now, that's different. I'm not talking about the thing where I'm talking about people protecting themselves, because you guys have heard me say this. Hey, if this is stressing you out, find something else. I don't mean leave Star Citizen. I just mean don't let this game get you to that point where you're stressed out. But there are other folks who really are just like, man, we don't need you. You can just go somewhere. I don't think that's a good thing. I don't think it's a healthy thing for us. Here's some more of the lyrics. Then I go to my brother and I say, brother, can you help me, please? But he winds up knocking me back down on my knees. There are people who go out there and, they're expressing themselves. My brother Togi, I said this the other day, I'm trying to keep my brother Togi in here. I know he's frustrated and I don't want to diminish any of that. But I consider my brother. I enjoy him being around. I want him to find some enjoyment in this game, You know, I want other people to find enjoyment the same way I find enjoyment in it, right? But, nobody needs to be knocked down when they express how they feel about what's going on in this game, right? And then he says, there have been times that I thought I couldn't last for long, but now I think I'm able to carry on. It's been a long time, long time coming, but I know change is going to come. Oh, yes, it will. Now, the question becomes, will the changes be the things that we like? We'll see. That we'll see goes for the people who think everything's going great. And it also goes for the people who think that things ain't going so great. We're all subject to the same ending of this story. And I'm hoping that the story ends well for all of us. I'm hoping that it ends in a way that everybody here can find something in the Star Citizen universe and in this community that they can hold on to and feel good about. And I know it's different. I know it's difficult. I know it can be challenging. I feel sometimes, because I don't feel that bad. And I'm not saying that in a elevating way. I feel bad because I do want people to not feel bad, about this. Maybe one day I'll feel bad. I'm willing to acknowledge that. I'm not, I've got my own concerns. I feel more positive than I feel more negative, but I'm not that oblivious to the fact that I've had games over those 50 years of gaming that I thought was going to be great. And when it came out, it wasn't what I expected, or it didn't live up to everything I wanted. But this one game is the one game that I've really, really, really over all those years believe in. It's not because it's the most recent. It's not because of the time or the money, but it's because of a community that's out there supporting it. It's been watching the business build up. It's watching them make mistakes. It's watching them make successes. It's going to citizen cons. It's going to bar citizens. It's hanging out in Discords. It's having personal friends in my life who play this game. All those things reinforce making me feel a certain way about this game. And so I just want us to kind of be unified. I want us to unify even around those people that sometimes might piss you off a little bit, or the people who don't feel the same way about the game you are, because we need everybody. We want everybody to be in this game and enjoy it. So yeah. That's all I want to say about that. Okay, well, let's get ready to wrap it up for the day. We are in Podsat Saturday, as you guys know, Podcast Saturday. This is the day where did I just see a sub goal come up? Wow. Thank you so much. Lefty. Oh my God, Lefty. Thank you so much for the 10 subs. How come my thing didn't chime? Oh my God, thank you so much for that. Thank you. 10 subs went out to everybody. Thank you for that support, as always. Let's see who was, oh my God, Zach the Doctor gave out 10 subs as well. You guys are amazing. Thank you guys so much. We appreciate that. Thank you. You guys are helping us for our giveaways that we have going on. Oh my God. Ganj, the Unjust, thank you for the 10 subs. Oh, you guys are too much. Thank you for amazing. I saw this bar flying by. I'm like, what is that? Thank you guys so much. Oh God, that's so cool. We got to do some cool giveaways after CitizenCon. Then we'll have to see what they're going to do, right? We'll have to do some stuff. Thank you guys for that. And thanks for sending it out to the folks who are here. I'm sure they appreciate it as well. Oh, also, Crazy Kitty, thank you for the follow earlier. I'm sorry we were talking and I didn't see when that popped up. I don't know why my thing isn't chiming. I had to see what's going on because it's not popping up on the screen. But thank you. Thank you for being here. So yeah, anyways, I was saying, this is Podset Saturday. This is our Saturday where we partner with other Star Citizen content creators, where we both the Astropub with the Captain's Table and also Relay, the OGs of Star Citizen. Both these folks are great. They bring in content. They bring in people to talk. They talk about the game. They've been doing this for years, y'all. They're the oldest folks that have been out here. Paul and Relay, I think, have probably the record for the longest they've been out here doing this stuff. So Paul will be out at 4 p.m. Eastern time, which is just a few minutes away from now, 20 minutes from now. So we're going to be sending you over there when we do the raid. And then after that, later tonight, you can hang out with the guys from Relay. As you know, this is a week before CitizenCon, so that's probably going to be the real hot topic, plus 4.0. I know Paul had it up that he was going to be talking about 4.0, so that'll be pretty good. So anyway, let's just be ready for that. Okay, I think there's going to be some great conversations going on for that. Let's see. Tomorrow. We're doing our show our pre-CitizenCon show called Hype and Hopium. That's going to be tomorrow evening. We're going to be talking about the schedule for CitizenCon. Going to be talking about, you know, the descriptions they gave, giving us a little bit of theory crafting about what they might be talking about, what we're kind of looking forward to seeing them talk about next week at CitizenCon for that weekend. So hopefully you guys will be able to join us and chime in, give us your thoughts as well. So that's going to be tomorrow evening at 7 p.m. Eastern time on our big show, our main show of Soul Citizens, and hopefully you guys can come hang out for there. Do want to remind you that next week I will not be here because I will be at CitizenCon. There are several of the Soul Citizens who are going. Serious Fun is going, Yo-Yo Meg is going, Captain Jones is going, and Subvigio is going. So there's 5 from the team that are going to be going over to the UK to Manchester, and so we will be there on Saturday and Sunday. We're not going to stream live, but we are going to probably do some recordings at the end of each day. Last year when we did it between sessions, we kind of came on live stream and gave you our initial thoughts and feelings. We're not going to do that this time. We're going to wait till the end of the day so we can kind of digest things versus giving first reaction. And then we're going to give you some guys. Now, I don't know if I may try to put that online that night. It's probably going to be like maybe a 15, maybe 20-minute thing, maybe no more than 30 minutes. If I can upload it and get it on, then I'll get it out. Otherwise, it'll come out post CitizenCon, just so you guys will know that. But it'll go to the YouTube channel if it's up. But on Sunday of next week, Fast Cart will be doing a live stream of the final session on Sunday. So we're not going to have the Sunday evening show, okay? When they're doing that final session that starts at 12, I think, or something like that. Yeah, 12 o'clock, 7 a.m. Eastern time. That's when he's going to go live on Twitch. So you guys are welcome to come into our Discord and hang out and watch with us as a watch party. And he'll be on, maybe a couple of Soul Citizens will be on with him. And they're just going to be watching the show live with everybody else as we see the culmination of everything next week when they're talking about 1.0 in the future. So feel free to drop in, hang out in the Discord with us. If you don't have a community or org that you're with, you guys are more than welcome to come in and just sit and hang out. You don't have to talk. If you just want to mute and sit in there and just hear what everybody's saying. People usually are quiet during the show, so don't worry about that. But you're more than welcome to join us on next week for that. Okay. Other than that, I want to say that is it. We are going to get ready to raid our good friend Paul Shelley, the Astropub, who is not on my list here for some reason. I don't know what's going on with that. But I hope you guys enjoyed the show today. Astropub. Yep. He's got a lot of people over there watching. So we're going to send you guys over there. He's getting his guests prepared for the show. So they're going to pop on. I can tell you now, it's going to be Tree 0311 and Major Star Stuff. They are going to be on with him today. So I'm sure they'll have a great conversation. Today is called CitizenCon Expectations. So again, thank you guys so much for being here today. Thank you again for everybody who followed, who liked, who subbed. Thank you for the gift subs that we got at the very end there. You guys were amazing, and we will put that good money to good use when we get back from CitizenCon and do some giveaways from there. And that's it. Thank you again for everybody who stopped in and talked and shared their heart and their head today. And as always, we'll see you guys real soon. Peace, love, and soul. Take care.